Hey folks, this is a quick live stream, but a number of you have asked me on the other live streams what I thought of the Oakland Raiders hiring now former NFL Network draft czar Mike Mayock as the general manager. And I wrote my thoughts out in a rather, I think it was 800-word blog post at Oakland News Now, but I haven't expressed them in the way that you want this medium, which you're used to, which is video, in particular live stream. So my feeling is that, particularly after talking to a number of people in the industry, I'm not going to name names or organizations, but the feeling is that this is a great public relations move. Happy New Year, by the way, to everybody. A great public relations move for the Raiders in the wake of firing Reggie McKenzie, which got everyone up in arms and ignited concerns that the Raiders, among other NFL teams, did not want African Americans in management positions. That concern is still loud and clear because the Raiders brought in somebody that is known. You know what this move is? This move basically says that you, the public, are stupid. That is, hey, you've seen Mike Mayock on TV, you've heard him talk about draft picks for almost a generation, and you've been led to believe that he is the czar, as I've termed him, and that he has a talent that automatically must translate into being general manager for an organization like the Raiders, when in point of fact, it really doesn't. So, hey, everybody's like, who's not in the business, okay? It's like, yeah. And if you notice, the people who've tweeted positively about it are people from the NFL Network, Rich Eisen and Daniel Jeremiah, but the person who worked most closely alongside him, whose face was elevated next to Mike Mayock's, Charles Davis, did not tweet one single word of congratulations to Mike Mayock. Folks, that's telling, okay? I repeat, Charles Davis, who worked most closely alongside Mike Mayock, did not tweet one word of congratulations to Mike Mayock after he was announced as the Raiders general manager. Keep that in mind, and still hasn't to this day. That tells you something, okay? Mike Mayock has a lot to prove. It is quite different to have a list of players you think a team should draft without having any knowledge whatsoever what the team's budget is. Note that when I started covering the NFL draft in 2005, and I covered it, the first to cover it with the YouTube channel in 2006, I went to Bob McNair and I basically said, well, how much are you going to spend on a player? Does money matter? And he basically said money didn't matter. I didn't believe that. Because then he turned around and said, well, hey, I want to get the guy that's not going to hold out. Okay? There's a different kind of thinking about this. Jamal Mills, how you doing? Jamal chimed in, I think, with something that's very, I think for want of a better term, prescient, in that he says the Raiders are basically an NFL brand, and that the NFL has said, we're going to take you on, and we're going to run you as an organization. I think that started with McKenzie. A lot of people don't know this, but Reggie McKenzie was the result of the NFL saying to the Raiders, you got to hire somebody to right your ship. Because when the Raiders brought Reggie McKenzie in, the Raiders had, I think, something like $150 million in dead money contracts. What are dead money contracts? That's contracts where you hire a player, you bring in a player for, let's say, a 10-year, $100 million contract, right? But then the player only lasts for, and you give let's say you give the player a $30 million guaranteed signing bonus, right? Okay, so the player gets the signing bonus, signs the contract, and guess what? The player only lasts 2 years, but you paid the person $30 million, and you still owe, let's say, $2 million because of the way the contract was structured. 2 years of payments because of the way the contract's structured. So you're still making payments on a player that you got rid of, on top of the fact that you gave the person $30 million up front. Okay, the Raiders had a wacko large number of contracts like that. Reggie was brought in to clean up the mess. Reggie did clean up the mess for all the mistakes that he has and successes. All right. he did come in, Reggie McKenzie, and he cleaned up the big mess that was left in terms of dead money contracts. That's not the kind of knowledge that Mike Mayock has. By his own admission, he says, you know, I don't have to get this thing down about running a team. Dude, you're the GM, okay? I mean, that's why, if you remember last fall, I believe it was earlier, actually the year before that, Mark Davis made noise about possibly getting a president who actually understood football, because that's not Mark Bourdain's strength at all. He'll tell you that. Football, that's not my area. I'm business. Mark Bourdain will tell you that. So you've got guys like Mayock who know draft evaluation, sort of. But look, I have never been of the school that Mike Mayock was a draft genius. I never put Mike Mayock in the true NFL draft class that a Joe Bushbaum or Bill Chackis or Rick Saratella or anybody else has been, okay? So Jamal Mills just asked me, do I believe he's an overpriced scout? Yeah, I do. I think he's one of those guys that comes in, he's got an angel here and a devil here, okay? And, oh, by the way, bad news. Daryl Dragon of the Captain and Tennille just died. Very sad. But anyway, Mayock has angels and devils on his shoulder. And he lets his angels and devils fly. I mean, look, he's the guy that said Cam Newton had no heart. Remember that? I mean, there were a number of... He used to have an issue, Mike Mayock did, about black quarterbacks. And his evaluation used to skew that way. It'll be very interesting to see how Mayock evaluates Dwayne Haskins. Because you know, and I know, that Dwayne Haskins should be an Oakland Raider. All right? You know that, and I know that. Because the Cardinals have the first pick. They're number one. The Cardinals have already blown their wad on a quarterback, okay? It's the Raiders turning it back. Dwayne Haskins is sitting right up there from Ohio State. He's the guy the Raiders should get. Pencil him in behind Derek Carr, let him grow into the position. You know that should happen. If it doesn't, look upstairs. I'm just saying. All right, I got to go. I'll be back for more later. But thanks a lot.